Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. My name is Eamon Khan here with Queensberry's First Lady, Raven Chapman. Really good nickname. I wanted to say that from the start. Raven, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it.
No, pleasure to speak to you. Like I said to you before off camera, I haven't spoke to you before, so I was keen to get the opportunity to speak to you. And you've been doing a lot of speaking as well too. You've turned your hand to commentary, I've noticed. Enjoying that side of the game?
Yeah, I really am. Obviously, for me, you just get to talk about the sport that I love doing, and hopefully, a sport that I think I know a lot about and can give some insight to people watching back home that might not know the ins and outs of the actual boxing techniques going on and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun. Obviously, I've been out with a bit of an injury, so it's definitely been keeping me busy, it's keeping me occupied as well. Less stir crazy because I've had things to do. So that's been good as well.
Well, we'll come back to that in a moment. You had a fight scheduled for March that got cancelled, as you mentioned there. What's the latest on you getting back in the ring?
So I should be back in the ring in July. Still doing like last little bits of physio rehab and getting back into the gym now. Working a little bit, which is nice, which is good. But yeah, looking for a July return.
When you have those moments where you're obviously out the ring and you're kind of itching to get back, how do you keep your mind focused on, not kind of going a little bit crazy with not being able to fight right now, I guess?
I guess, like I said, I just try to keep myself busy. I've been doing as much sort of media work and outings and stuff as I can. So obviously, it's something to do, and I enjoy it as well. And I'm keen to keep doing all the commentary stuff as well. Luckily, I say luckily, it came at a time when I was actually moving house, so I've had that to occupy me as well. So I've had things going on, which is good. It's kept me upbeat and everything else. Also, in terms of the injury, it's a minor one. Just resting, having to rest is the hardest part. Um, but it's not taken me off track at all having this injury right now. So I think that's obviously a positive as well. I think if I'd got this injury at a time where I was going into, those big fights, those world title fights, it would have been a little bit more depressing than it is. But I think because I know I'm still on the same track, the same place that I was going, it's kept me more upbeat about it, I think.
Been a lot of movement in the division, and we'll get to Saturday night in a short moment. I just want to talk to you about one of your rivals, I guess, but is also a friend as well too, Amanda Serrano. How have you and her been able to click so well when you probably got one eye on her as well in the future?
I think obviously that opportunity arose. I fought on the same card as her on the Joe Joyce and Joe Parker undercard. We were both on that. And it just gave me that chance to get to know her a little bit, her get to know me, get to know the team. And I think with Serrano, it's just having that respect that they appreciate. Obviously, she's been in the game a long time and she's got that experience. I'm an up and comer. And I definitely was at that point. I'd only had 3-4 fights when I got to know Amanda. And yeah, it was just like really invaluable speaking to her, speaking to the team, knowing about their journey as well and what they've been through and how they've got to where they've got to. So yeah, it was just really, really great to be able to do that. And obviously respecting Amanda as a champion, I don't think she'd have given me that respect if I'd gone in there and tried calling her out straight away, saying, "No, I'm going to beat you," when I've only had 3-4 fights, and I think that says a lot as well. But obviously, I've always made it very clear I'd love to fight Amanda, and I think our styles would make for a really explosive, exciting fight that the fans would love to see.
Do you, when you have that conversation with her, is there a thought in the back of your mind, like me and you are going to meet at some point? And do you think like she feels the same sort of way? Is that like unspoken kind of knowledge that you two are gonna fight at some point?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like maybe not as much for her because for her that's kind of how everyone views her, isn't it?
Mm.
She's kind of at the top of the food chain, so everyone wants to fight her. So, I mean, her team were nice and were definitely open to fighting us one day. Obviously that was I don't know a year and a half ago now when I fought on that card with her, and they said carry on doing what you're doing, and it will happen. So that's definitely the fight I'd love to have, and it would be an exciting fight for me as well. Obviously, being able to share the ring with Amanda, who's fought so many great people, but also, like I say, being in that kind of fight where it's going to be fighting fire with fire is just the kind of fights that I like to be involved in, because they're fun for me as a fighter, but they're fun for the audience as well.
Imagine you must have felt for her when she had to pull out on the day of her fight recently.
Yeah, I felt for her. I also felt for Nina. Obviously, I know Nina well as well. So gutted for Nina for her opportunity, and it's one of them as well. For me, I would have then probably been sort of next in line for Serrano, really, because out of the top people in the weights, in the belts, I would then be the only person Serrano's not fought. Had she have fought Nina in that fight, so it might be a little step back with that fight not happening for me, getting the opportunity to fight Amanda. But I know they would. I'd like to think they would still like to give Nina that chance to have that fight, since they were so close to making it happen. And then hopefully I'll be next up after that.
Turning your eye to this weekend, you got Skye Nicholson versus Mafoud. Your commentary here, you get to see the fighters up close and personal. Just from a commentator's perspective, what would you say about Skye Nicholson heading into this fight?
So for Skye, obviously she's going to try and use her back foot against Sarah, against Mafoud. Try and use probably like that youth and speed advantage over Sarah. Having said that, I know when we all saw Sarah fight Amanda, Sarah wasn't actually a full-time training at that time, and because of that fight, it's given her the opportunity to do it full-time. And I know she feels really good at the moment. She feels like she's improved a lot. She feels a lot stronger and everything else. So it'd be very interesting. I think it may be sort of that come forward strength of Sarah against the back foot speed of Skye in this fight, and it'll be interesting to see which one gets to outpoint the other.
Ideally, I imagine you'd want Skye to come through this fight because you'd probably want to fight Skye because you and her have a bit of a brewing rivalry, I guess. So that's kind of what you're hoping for.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, the fight against myself and Skye is a fight that a lot of people have been talking about. It's a fight that me and her have known. We've both been on that kind of trajectory that it's going to happen. With the Chapman versus Queensberry stuff at the moment, it just all really makes sense. Obviously, you've got the Chapman versus Queensberry 5v5 happening in September, hopefully at Wembley, which is definitely, all part of the timeline. And if Skye comes through that, I'm back in July, then that's a very big possibility for September as well, because it's one of the fights that everyone kind of agrees on. Everyone wants to see it. The fans have been asking for it for a long time now as well.
That potential Wembley show. Look, Wembley is one of those landmark places in the UK that normally used for football, but when it comes to boxing, it's always those huge, big nights for it. Is that always kind of been something that you've looked to go for as a goal to fight at Wembley?
Yeah, 100%. Especially as well for me, Wembley's very close to where I am and where I live. It's a short drive down the road, really. In terms of like big arenas for where I am, that's the closest one. So I know I'd get a really good crowd there as well. So for me, it's 100% somewhere I'd love to fight. So the opportunity to be on the September card, hopefully, like I say, if Skye comes through on Saturday, to be able to fight Wembley for a world title on such a big event as well would be brilliant.
I'm definitely not the man with the power, but if I was to offer you Skye Nicholson or Amanda Serrano next, which would you take?
Amanda, for sure. For me, it's like I say, it's an exciting fight. She's pound for pound one of the best, one of the greatest, and I'd like to get the opportunity to fight her before she decides to retire. So yeah, if I had, like I say, there's still plenty of time for me and Skye to fight. There's limited time, I feel like, for me to fight Serrano.
It seems like in the women's code, the rivalries are coming in thick and fast now. We've had Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor versus Chantelle, Savannah Marshall versus Claressa Shields. Now you and Serrano, or you and Skye Nicholson. It seems like everything's coming together at the right time now.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, now's a great time to be in women's boxing. It's only getting bigger and bigger. Those rivalries are getting bigger and bigger. Um, Obviously, me and Skye turned around the same time. We've got a similar kind of amount of fights. Um, and it's a rivalry that's just been brewing and been brewing naturally. We haven't had to, slag each other off in the process, which I think is the way to do it in sport. It's about respect, to respect everyone that you step into the ring with. At the end of the day, like everyone's putting themselves on the line. So it's a great rivalry that's been brewed, and you've got the historic rivalry between Matchroom and Queensberry on top of that as well. So it's an exciting time.
Do you think we'll see Taylor versus Cameron 3?
I would like to. I know Chantelle would really like that fight, and I think it's only right that they do have the third one. The controversial parts to the second fight, um, especially for Chantelle, and I know she'd love to have that third fight, and really cement who's number one out of the two of them, because it's 1-1 at the moment, and I think it's a fight we'd all like to see again.
And potentially, what, Shields versus Marshall in the cage, right?
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to see. Obviously, I'm not sure if Claressa had previous experience in terms of like kickboxing and stuff like that before, whereas we know Savannah did, and maybe that would be her, step up. But it's very different, even with that previous experience for Savannah. Claressa's been in the cage now a few times and been doing that training, and probably, got that little bit edge of experience. So it would be interesting to see the difference in a cage compared to the rings. I was back in Savannah in their fight, and Claressa completely outboxed her in that, and performed amazingly. So it'd be really interesting to see if there'd be a difference in advantages when it came to a cage and when it came to ground fighting, the grappling. Because if they're both novices at that, then it's a really, really even playing field.
You were in Thailand, I think, at the back end of last year. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get to any sort of Muay Thai training or grappling training at all?
Yeah, I did. So I was doing quite a bit of Muay Thai training, which in hindsight probably wasn't the best considering my injury. But
Mm.
us fighters, we like to ignore these things and just train through it. But yeah, I love doing a bit of Muay Thai. I've never fought Muay Thai and stuff. I fought a bit of kickboxing back as a kid, but my dad was a Muay Thai guy mainly before boxing and stuff like that. So I've always done bits of Muay Thai and things, and I absolutely love it. I love it over in Thailand and doing it. And there was a point where I was very close to, moving over there and doing a Muay Thai and MMA scholarship there. So it's one of them things, and never say never. And when I'm over there, it's just being able to do what you love in the heat as well. And it's just a different kind of world for it. Everyone, the food's so good, it's all healthy and everything like that. And it's something I definitely consider in the future for sure, because I absolutely love ground fighting, grappling. I love doing the BJJ, and I love doing the Muay Thai.
Yeah, what's the training like? Because I see a couple of videos and things, and when I think of training out in Thailand, I always kind of think of like the movie style kind of images in my mind of fighters training. But I wonder, is it as intense as that?
Yeah, yeah, it can be. Obviously, it depends. When I went last time, it was a bit more of a holiday, so it wasn't quite as intense. Obviously, I was meant to sort of be more resting than training. But previous times I've been to Thailand, it has been seriously intense, and the heat as well. The heat in there is something else at times, and that just makes you feel even fitter. But yeah, they're hardcore. They're hardcore over there, and but Muay Thai fighting is a different kind of game. I think it's serious. The Muay Thai fighters, they're hard. They're tough people.
So you got Shields who's transitioned over, Savannah Marshall who's looking to make a debut. I believe there is, I don't want to say just yet because I've not had it confirmed, but there's another fighter as well too who's looking to maybe go over to the cage as well too. You've got something in the back of your mind to say in the future, I'd like to have a slice of that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, for me, I love boxing, and that's what I say is sort of my bread and butter and what I focus most of my time in. But I absolutely love being an all-round fighter as well, and I think that's really important. And it's just something I like to do. I love martial arts and all kind of combat sports, and you get to do so many of them in MMA. The only thing I'd say was if you're transitioning, you kind of have to do one or the other because the training styles are so different. You know, boxing's very upright, your stance is different, everything's different to an MMA fighter. So I just know if I was going to an MMA fight next month, the person I'm against is just going to be going for my legs, you know, because boxers' legs aren't conditioned the way MMA fighters are and Muay Thai fighters are, and they're going to be going for takedowns. So I'd have to make sure you're good on the ground, you've got good skills, you know how to get out of any situation, you know how to put yourself into better positions. And yeah, you'd have to completely change your stance because you don't want to get kicked in the legs, that's for sure. It's not nice.
Lastly, we're going to leave the final word with you. Your dreams of fighting and claiming the world title gets a step closer after Nicholson and Mafoud fight this weekend. What would it mean for you to get that moment, have the opportunity to fight for the title and then win it?
Yeah, it'll be major. It's one of the things I've been aiming for since I turned pro. Obviously, I'm in a position now where whoever comes out on top on Saturday, I'm then going to be there mandatory. So, you know I'm kind of next to get that opportunity, which is something we've been aiming for. Obviously, I've worked my way into good positions in all the other governing bodies as well. And that's what I'm going to be aiming for too. So not just the WBC, but any of the other belts are what I want. And that's what I'm working towards, and that's what I'm going to achieve.
Raven, good talker. Pleasure's all mine, as you must be being on the commentary.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, and looking forward to seeing you get that opportunity very soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on today.